Dr. Lim, I read your manifesto, and actually, to be honest with you, we could have written the same manifesto.
We like that.
And that's why people have called the Workers' Party PAP Light or PAP-like. It's almost a position where whatever line or stand the PAP has taken, you basically use that as your reference point, then take a half step to the left. And that's why we really don't have too many fundamental things to disagree about. But even that half step left
you need to get to your question,
has
Dr. Balakrishnan.
got fiscal questions. And I'm just asking you, in all the the little steps left, how are you going to the trade-off with cost, and who pays for it, and how do you allocate that cost?
Dr. Lim,
thank you. So thanks for the question, Dr. Balakrishnan. I think the kind of meta point that is being asked is that whether we are in fact just equivalent to the PAP. And I think we have often emphasized in the Workers' Party that we do not necessarily object to policy just because of the sake of objection. Ultimately, what we want is the right policy. I think the fact that we're having a debate and agitating toward an answer is a step positive in that direction. Now, you have then went on to say that what we have done is move to the left, and the kind of underlying query is that, well, perhaps by moving to the left, we are being irresponsible fiscally.
Not at all.
Well, I would like to emphasize, within the manifesto, we have actually done the math behind it, and everything within our budget is budget neutral. Now, what is true though is that it does entail a set of trade-offs, and I cannot emphasize this enough. I think where we fundamentally differ is where we think those trade-offs actually should occur. Now, the PAP would tend to side on the side of capital. We think, in fact, that for every dollar of national income, Singaporean workers already receive an insufficient amount, 42 cents. Compare that to 55 cents in Japan, and much higher in other high-income countries. And we think that a rebalance of that kind of share of labor income is ultimately necessary.
Very good. Time for your question now.
Yes. So I will likewise ask Dr. Balakrishnan a meta question.
Sure.
And the meta question is this: you have listed all the policies, and I agree with the spirit of the policies, which is the PAP has put in one of the largest stimulus policies post-COVID-19.
Yes.
But how much has the PAP actually evaluated the efficacy of its policies? And I ask this in the context of things that were already raised. Dr. Chi mentioned that productivity, in spite of the fact that since 1972, the PAP has tried to raise productivity unsuccessfully. You talk about the progressive wage model, but yet, as Mr. Yuan pointed out, we are still in a position where we still see the elderly.
Get to your question very soon.
And that is the question. It is how much the PAP has actually estimated the efficacy of the policies it rolls out, because I would have lack of confidence that their big budgets might actually do the job.
Well, I think the first
first
point is that actually you agree substantively with most of our policies. First point. You have a good question in terms of efficacy. And right now, you are right, we have put aside a 20% of our GDP fiscal stimulus. And you're right, this is unprecedented in our history, and even as an economist, you will know unprecedented internationally. But there is one key difference. We are funding this not by passing the burden to our children or grandchildren, but from our reserves. And you have to ask yourself, how come we have reserves? And it is a question of values. Our pioneer and Merdeka generation always believe in spending less than they earn on a recurrent basis. That's why we have the reserves, and that's why we can deploy that for a rainy day. This is a rainy day. Now, it's quite right question, efficacy, and we need to measure outcomes. Now, let's talk about productivity. Right? We're a city-state. We have to bring in investments. And some of these, and you will know full well, the nature of these investments, high capital investments, high-tech investments, high intellectual property investments, will not generate the same labor share of much of the last industrial revolution. So I think you to be fair, you need to realize, and I think in your own writing you've acknowledged that that simply minimum wage does not shift that percentage
I have to stop
share.
you there, Dr. Balakrishnan.